Jonathan Munoz here for another episode, and today we're going to talk about a very likely question for you guys to have, which is tell me about your COVID experience. What happened to you during COVID? How did COVID affected your training, your time in Peru? And so this is an opportunity to share not only what happened in your country or what happened wherever you were training, but to share what you learned and how you became a better physician after that. Because I believe that this COVID season was a great time to be a physician, a great time to be a caretaker for ill patients. So I'm going to share with you what I think, and hopefully that serves you to make the lines that you need for this question. So for me, what I learned, I think it was the same everywhere. A lot of hospitals everywhere, all the hospitals everywhere had tons of patients that were dying, and all these hospitals had the same problem. At some point, there were enough ventilators, there were enough beds, there were enough medications. All these hospitals saw the same, that poor people did worse than richer people, and obtaining medications was always a barrier in poor countries and not so much in richer countries, but still um, poorer people did worse. Um, if you were working on the medicine wards or on the emergency department wards, you you will relate to meeting new people that came from different states or from different parts of your country to work in that area, because at least in the United States we were calling people to work shifts from different states, and they were called the traveler nurses, the traveler respiratory therapists, traveling doctors, just coming here to cover shifts for a higher rate, for a higher hourly rate. They did us a favor. They were great help, and for me, I learned so much from them. I learned that, you know, I have to become a more humble person, a more patient person, understanding of their job requirements, because you will see that so many times doctors become annoyed by nurses calling for orders for, I don't know, sleeping pills, bowel bowel movement protocols, constipation, or a potassium replacement pill for a potassium level of 3.4, right, which is almost normal. And people will say, "Why is she calling me for this? This can wait and until tomorrow." But it's not that. You have to be more understanding that their job requirements for nurses makes them call for any abnormal value. And I was hard on them before, until I got across this pandemic, and I said, okay, I was being harsh. They have to do this. This is their job requirement. They're not calling to annoy me. They're calling because this is what their job stipulations are. Same for respiratory therapists. They have to call you to change respiratory treatments around if they believe so, or the patient is wheezing a little bit. They have to call you to report, to make a note that they reported and that there was an action on that. So I think I grew as a team player, because I took time to get to know them better, to talk more about their job obligations and how we were contributing to each other's day. I also got to know more about their personal lives and why they were doing this extra work in a different state, far from their families. And many of them had school loans to pay, mortgages to pay. They were looking to improve their lives by buying, I don't know, a new car, buying, I don't know, paying for their kids' schooling, many stories. And so I think COVID did bring unity to my environment. I do think that as a team player, you're only as strong as your team is. So there was a big need for leadership during this season. Someone that takes leadership without getting the role of a leader, someone that checks on their colleagues, someone that checks that, hey, are you feeling okay? Hey, do you have enough PPE for the day, for the week? Um, do you have anything going on at home that needs me or someone else to cover for you for your shift? Trying to avoid burnout, which was very high during COVID season, the pandemic. Um, Telehealth became a great tool for doctors, especially for outpatient doctors, um, not only to reach the COVID patients, but also to reach those patients that were so far location wise that weren't able to reach any medical care or specialists like a neurologist, right? So many people need to follow up with neurology, and because they live so far away, they are not able to do it. So telehealth was a great tool that started this during this pandemic, and is going to stay. We saw a lot of value on how telehealth makes us able to reach those patients. And there's only some requirements that are unique with telehealth, which are documentation requirements. Understanding them that for you to have a billable telehealth visit, you have to document different aspects of the note that are different than an in-person note. So something for you to look into. But mentioning the telehealth, that your understanding of the importance of telehealth will probably be part of a great response for this question. Why? Because this is going to stay with us. It's not going to go anywhere. If something, the amount of telehealth visits that you will have to deal with during residency are going to be far more than it is now. Okay, next topic. Health inequalities were very evident during the pandemic. The the poor suffer more than the rich. And it became very evident among Afro American and Hispanic populations, whiter populations in this country. Apparently, in the studies available, did better. Um, so, as a physician, I think the lesson I learned is that you do have to pay attention to who your patient is, what's his environment, where is he going after discharge, and the state in California state stood up to the pandemic, providing housing, temporary housing for those patients that needed isolation. So it seemed like different entities started working with us to help our patients. For example, um, I will be able to discharge a COVID patient that is stable on day 3 or 4. Medications were given by the satellite pharmacy at our hospital to no cost. If the patient didn't have um, a place to go, like if the patient was homeless, or if the patient was living in overpopulated home with 5, 6 people around, and he couldn't isolate on his own room, the state was providing housing for those patients, temporarily at least, but it was better than nothing. And within that housing, there was food included, there was medical care included. So it did help, and you can only make those patients go into these places if you will identify they were going to be released to those conditions. See, so it became very important for us to get to know our patients better, to identify who will benefit of this extra help. And in the future, on the days to come, on the patients that you're going to see, this taught you a lesson: to not disregard um, the importance of getting to know your patients. So many times, as I said, for example, in my country, Peru, doctors do not take that time. They prescribe a very expensive medication to a patient that is not able to cover for that. How is he going to get a medication like that if he barely makes enough to survive? So see, many things have to be done, and this is one of those things I learned during COVID. I had to take more time, more. I have to improve my communication skills to to reach my patients, to be able to help them better. And the last thing I think I became more aware of is mental disorders, depression, general anxiety. Those are things that are gonna continue to to show up during your visits. Why? Because COVID came with a lot of tragedies. Many people lost their loved ones, they lost their jobs, um, they are suffering the chronic complications of COVID, which are still to be determined, right? There are still people complaining of different things that you couldn't believe it could be related to COVID, but it may, and there are many efforts right now to develop programs that are part of rehabilitation, cardiovascular rehabilitation, pulmonary rehabilitation for post-COVID patients, patients that had suffered rapid progression of pulmonary fibrosis, deterioration of the COPD, and they are not still back into normal exercise tolerance after COVID. So those things we're still going to see, and that's what I learned from COVID. If you want to um, bring bring that bring my story to your life, bring my story to your current situation in India, Pakistan, Peru, Colombia, I'm pretty sure it's the same. You saw it, and now you have the words, the how this is going to be going on here in the United States. I'm pretty sure is similar to many countries with the limitations that comes from poorer countries. But I think overall the same idea, right? Depression is going to be there. Health inequalities are everywhere. Telehealth, it's a tool that is developing in poorer countries. It's very well developed here. Is here to stay. And unity and teamwork became more important. So hopefully this serves to your ability to develop an answer for this question. And good luck, guys. The interview season is coming right around the corner, and we should be prepared. Thank you.